Throughout history, rulers, warlords, and executioners have devised punishments so cruel, so agonizing that they defy comprehension. These were not just methods of execution, they were spectacles of suffering, designed to break the body, crush the spirit, and send a terrifying message to all who dared defy authority. Today, we descend into the darkest corners of human cruelty to uncover the worst punishments ever inflicted. 1. The Brazen Bull, ancient Greece's fiery execution. In the 6th century BC, the Greek tyrant Phalaris sought a punishment so horrifying that even the bravest men would tremble. The sculptor Perillaios delivered a hollow bronze bull designed to roast victims alive. As flames licked the bull's belly, the metal heated to unbearable temperatures. The victim's screams, distorted by the bull's shape, echoed like the bellowing of a beast, a twisted form of entertainment for the tyrant's court. Ironically, Perillaios himself became the bull's first victim when Phalaris, unimpressed by his cruelty, ordered him to test his own creation. 2. Scaphism, the Persian torture of slow rotting. The Persians reserved scaphism, the boats, for traitors and enemies of the king. The condemned was stripped naked, placed between two hollowed-out boats, and force-fed milk and honey until they developed severe diarrhea. Then, more honey was smeared on their face and genitals, attracting wasps, ants, and maggots. Trapped in their own filth, victims endured days of being eaten alive, their flesh rotting while still conscious. Ancient sources claim some victims lasted up to 17 days before death finally took them. 3. The Blood Eagle, Viking ritual sacrifice. The Vikings believed a warrior's death brought honor, but for their worst enemies, they devised the Blood Eagle, a ritual so brutal it straddles the line between execution and dark sacrament. The victim was held face down, their back sliced open, ribs severed from the spine, and lungs pulled outward, creating a grotesque pair of wings. Some accounts say salt was rubbed into the wounds to prolong suffering. While some scholars argue it was poetic exaggeration, archaeological evidence suggests ritualistic executions did occur. 4. Lingqi, China's death by 1,000 cuts. In imperial China, death wasn't enough. The condemned had to be humiliated. Their suffering stretched for hours in a public spectacle known as lingqi, the slow slicing. Executioners were trained to keep the victim alive as long as possible, sometimes even covering wounds with hot ash to prevent fatal blood loss. Families of the condemned were forced to watch, their lineage forever shamed. 5. The Judas Cradle, the Inquisition's favorite tool. The Spanish Inquisition sought confessions at any cost, and the Judas Cradle delivered unimaginable agony. The victim was suspended above a pyramid-shaped stake, then lowered slowly, their own weight causing horrific impalement. Some were repeatedly raised and dropped to worsen the damage. Many died from infection. Survivors were left permanently disabled. Records show this was often used on accused heretics, sometimes even children. 6. The rack, medieval Europe's bone-snapping device. The rack was the medieval torturer's favorite tool, simple, effective, and almost impossible to resist. With each turn of the wheel, joints dislocated, tendons tore, and bones snapped. Many victims confessed to anything, even witchcraft, just to end the torment. Those who didn't break often died from shock or internal bleeding. 7. The Pear of Anguish, a tool of ultimate humiliation. Few devices inspire as much dread as the Pear of Anguish. Used on blasphemers, homosexuals, and witches, this segmented metal pear would expand when cranked, tearing apart the victim from the inside. Some versions had spikes for added agony. Few survived. Those who did were left permanently mutilated. 8. Flaying, skinning alive in the ancient world. The Assyrians, Aztecs, and even medieval Europeans practiced flaying, the slow removal of skin. Victims either bled to death or survived long enough to die of shock. Some executioners were so skilled they could keep a victim alive for hours, peeling away strips of flesh like bark from a tree. 9. The breaking wheel. A public display of agony. Reserved for the worst criminals, the breaking wheel ensured a slow, excruciating death. Limbs were shattered with an iron bar, then the victim was tied to a wheel and left for crows to feast on. 10. The Iron Maiden. Fact or folklore? The Iron Maiden, a spiked sarcophagus, may have been more myth than reality, but its legend persists. Victims were impaled by spikes when the door closed, dying in unimaginable pain. These punishments remind us of humanity's darkest impulses, where cruelty became spectacle and suffering was an art form. Thankfully, most of these horrors are now confined to history, but the echoes of their brutality remain.